Hi. Okay, we're on.
We're on? We're ready? Okay.
Yes, we're on.
And we're live.
Yep. Good evening and welcome to another chapter of non-PC housing.
Cheers.
Cheers. Welcome, everyone.
Yep.
And we thought before we start, we'd like to have a moment to talk about a larger-than-life community member here who's passed away. That would be Ray Masuko, as many of you probably already know. And he's touched a lot of the things that we talk about. He has clients all over the place. He did a lot of charitable work. People know that. Roots on the River, was taken over from Charlie Hunter some years ago by Ray. And he did that. He loves music. He loved the community. And he did a lot of things for the community. I'll give the floor to you.
Yeah, Roots on the River was pivotal. He was one of the guys that took it over after Charlie had walked away. But he was a guy that he lived in town, he worked in town, he supported the local need, he worked for the town, he worked for a lot of people in the area that relied on him. He was I don't know, he was like 75 years old,
yep.
But he was still going at it. But he did hire a partner, so hopefully the Ray Masuko and company is still going to go on and move on. But I think Monday is his wake from 4 to 7.
Yes. Right.
And then Tuesday, they're going to have the funeral service at 11 o'clock. And then after that, they're going to the Legion. So I believe somewhere on Facebook, they'll be advertising that. And it's going to be, it should be a huge turnout because he was pivotal in a lot of things that developed the community. He is going to be sorely missed. And he's an institutional legend that had a lot of knowledge. And I feel really, really sad for his family and his children and his wife. So he's going to be missed. We lost a good one. We lost a good one the other day.
Fenton and Hennessy is where the wake will be. Mm-hmm. So just so people are aware of that. You'll probably they have a Facebook page, so you can find them there too.
Yep.
Yes. He was the ripple in the pond that went further and further. There are thousands of people touched by Ray Masuko's generosity and spirit. Through music and charity and community work. So,
were you friends with him on Facebook?
Yes.
He did this Tuesday thing.
Oh yeah.
What was it called? It was called
Tell Me Something.
Tell Me Something Tuesday. And he actually, that was the day he died.
Yeah.
And he actually got up Tuesday morning on Facebook and wrote Tell Me Something Tuesday while he was having concerns.
Yeah.
He reached out to people on Facebook, Tell Me Something Tuesday.
I know. I saw that. It scared me because I saw it later in the day, and it's like, oh, okay. And I looked at the time.
He's like, I don't feel too well, but I'm still gonna reach out to the community and post and see how everyone's doing.
Yeah.
That was right.
That was great. Yeah.
That was
exactly.
right.
Okay. So I'm not sure if we made sure to speak about that last episode, but there's the Why We Are Two now, and that's because our third party, Betsy Thurston, has multiple jobs. She's juggling a lot, working for the municipality, driving people to ball games, and just on and on the number of things she does. And so this is one of those things that she had to cut. At some point, she might come back to us. She still meets us before our filming. To see how we're doing and to hear where we're going with it and maybe to provide some insight. And so we appreciate her. We appreciate her, but now there's just the two of us. I hope you're happy with that.
We are also live. There is a little bit of a delay, so if you want to ask questions while we're chatting about whatever we're talking about or anything else that you can think of, please do. I have my phone here, so I'll try and check it out when you send a question and try to respond.
Great. Yeah, thanks for letting people know that.
Yeah.
One of the first things on there is this article that I put up on Facebook. It's rents fall for the first time since late 2020. Okay, you tell me how that is. I thought that was fake news. This is Wall Street Journal. I read it every day. I was shocked to see this because it's not true. Definitely not true here. But they use websites like rents.com and others and Zillow and all that to try and track that. Apparently, you know how much your rents jumped up. Well, 2.68 is the amount of decrease they're talking about. And I'm sure they're just talking about in new apartments for rent are about 2.68% lower than they have been since 2020. That's to me, that's a drop in the bucket compared to what, 85% increases?
Yeah, 85.
Yeah.
80, yeah.
Absolutely insane.
So, especially in New York, they're getting huge amounts of increases. I did decrease my rents in some of my buildings, but that's because I stopped paying for oil. So
good for you.
Right.
Cheers.
Well, no, but that might be part of the article. So oil is going through the roof. It
Didn't
could
talk
be,
about that.
It could be anywhere from $4 to $5 a gallon, and I can't control the usage, right? As a landlord,
Right,
they might
yeah.
they have the windows open, the heat on,
90 degrees.
90 degrees, and I'm paying. People will say, "Well, no, I'm paying for it because it's in my rent." It's exorbitant.
Yeah. I know.
The cost
Yeah.
of oil. I have one person that uses 1,800 gallons of oil for one apartment. They just keep it really high. And so what I decided to do is say, you know what, you're going to pay for the oil, but I'm going to decrease your rent, $150, $200. And hopefully that balances out.
Yeah.
And the reason why I did that is I don't know what their usage is going to be any month. Yeah. They could be, 1,800 gallons this year and 2,000 gallons next year. So, so that's the only reason why I decreased rent.
Well, I mean, it's logical sense, and then that way they have more self-control. That's on them as opposed to you. There are downsides to that where some apartment owners would prefer the other way around to make sure they can control it. But the building next to me is a Riverview. I don't want to even talk about how many cracked open windows I see during the wintertime.
Right. That's because they're on the third level or second level, and all the heat rises, and they just open the windows, and there we go.
And there it goes. Pours right out into the street.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. So I don't know. That article that you saw is a little misleading because they don't talk about rents. They don't talk about, the fact that, the rents were jacked up 85% a year and a half ago.
And they don't say that.
Now they're coming down 2.5%. So the rents are coming down. But, I think it's a little misleading.
Yeah, 2.68% isn't much anyway.
Yeah.
And yes, again, you don't know what their their actual rents are. Let's give us some examples. That makes more sense.
Right. Yeah.
But we can see ourselves in this area that we have rents here that make more sense in Burlington. Some of them.
What I'm finding out, what's really weird is people that have not had to move and have lived in their apartments for like 17 years and they're paying $650 and they think that's high. And then they're faced with an eviction or a landlord a new person, Bucky Adams, sold his buildings. The new owner comes in, hey, I got to jack up your rent, and now they're going from $600 to $750.
Yeah,
and that's even below market here.
Right.
I mean, right now, HUD rate for a 2-bedroom with no utilities is going to be close to $875. That means you pay your own electric and you pay your own heat.
Right.
For a 2-bedroom is close to $875. It might be like $860.
Water and sewer included.
Water and sewer is included. Yeah. But when you're going from $600 for the last 17 years, all of a sudden you have to pay $875.
Yeah.
You think as a tenant, well, I'm just going to move. Where are you going? Everyone else is raising their rents. That's the problem. When you're a tenant, you don't think about, I'm going to go check and see what the market is. But the landlords are checking the market
all the time. Yeah.
So the market is going up on you, and then when you decide to move, you're gonna have to pay $200 to $300 somewhere else.
I know that there are a few places in our community where there's some rent control. Places like Wyndham Windsor Housing Trust has purchased and owns that has controlled some of the rent, and a few other agencies. But the average rent I could see, and that was not even just since COVID, but prior to that, with things like $1,000, $1,200. Now I'm seeing like $1,400, $1,600. It's like, who could afford that? That's like double at a HUD rate right there. And it's and to me, it's like whatever the market will bear. And that's kind of what happens. I mean, look at Keene State College. It's only less than 30 minutes away.
Yep.
Their rates are incredible because there's a college right there within 30 minutes. Well, maybe this would be you could consider that this is a bedroom community for them too. 30 minutes isn't far.
It isn't far. And back in the day, a lot of Keene workers moved to Bellows Falls because it was so much cheaper. But then the gas spiked.
I know. Yeah.
And it was costing them a ton of money.
Travel
was the same. And now here we are. The gas is coming down, so now they'll move back. But there's no rentals. Why are there no rentals in town? I don't really understand that.
Well, there are a lot of houses in poor repair. We're going to get to that later, but that part of that will reduce the stock. So stock's reduced. Someone must know, probably maybe the Ridwig people or the InkDev people have that information. How many available apartments? It takes research. You have to do a lot of phone calling and stuff to say what's available,
right? To
see if there is anything, and I'm sure there is a few. I mean, clearly we already had that conversation Tuesday night. The Wyndham Windsor Housing BF Garage project will be completed in the spring.
Yeah.
They got 27 apartments. Right now there's apparently a list, just a list. There's no priority here at all for people who are interested. And I guess they said in January they would become more formalized about it. So how big that list is, we don't know. They didn't divulge it. They didn't say how many people are already on the list. So it is that. But how many people are here?
They did say people were already signing up. There's only 28 units.
27.
27 units.
That's not your number.
27 units. You're going to get at least 100 people apply. Because there are people that feel like right now they're in Bellows Falls and they live in substandard housing. I know a guy that his building just sold. He has his ceiling in his living room is caving in. It's caving in his bedroom. He hears mice and rodents running around in the attic. He sees the water pour in from the ceiling. Obviously the roof needs to be repaired. It's dripping down. It's rotting out his floorboards. The landlord that's owned it for the last 8 years, who bought it for $25,000, has done no repairs. Total slumlord. Bought it really cheap. He's down by the park.
What park are we talking about?
That park where Billy Armand just bought his house and is fixing it up. What is that park down by? You go that way to get to Hyde Street. But anyway, that ball field out back.
Okay.
Is it Laurel? It might be Laurel.
Oh, yeah.
He's down there.
Is that Morgan's Field there?
Yeah.
And Laurel around the corner.
He's down there, and he's like, my apartment should be condemned. But he thinks he's going to move into the new building and get a 2-bedroom for $428. And I was rude, and I said, hell no, you're not going to get a 2-bedroom apartment. One, they're not going to give a single person a 2-bedroom apartment, and two, they're not going to give you a 2-bedroom apartment for $428.
No, of course not.
It's going to be
maybe a 1-bedroom apartment would be more than that even.
$649 or something like that.
So it's not going to happen. Yeah.
So that's what I mean about these people that have been living in these apartments and paying $500-$600. They think they're going to go get the Taj Mahal for $650.
I know.
They have no idea.
Yeah.
And now what's going to happen is he's going to get rejected, and he's going to have to live in that slum hole. So I told him about Chuck. I said, you got to call the health and safety.
It's a health concern.
Call the health and safety officer, and I said, there's probably mold underneath that wood that you put up to protect the ceiling from caving down on you.
It's probably the only thing holding it up, for all I know.
Yeah.
Just a little aside, for those of you who have been using rental assistance, we did hear that there's supposed to be the last-minute extension, but we don't know anything about it, how long it's going to last, and how much of it they're going to supplement, because it might not be the same rate you're already receiving. I just want people to know that if you're getting that assistance, you might want to make the inquiries now and find out what it's going to be.
But I have a person, so part of that VRAP, if you're on Section 8, if you get already subsidized, they're cutting off any Section 8 applicants or any Section 8 tenants that have been receiving VRAP. That's it. They're not going to pay your October rent. I have a tenant who was getting Section 8, and they were paying me $441 for her since last March. They just stopped. Their October 1, they are not paying. They're done. So they were serious about, and they did write that, and they did call people that were getting Section 8. They said, no more, you're not going to get any VRAP money.
Wow.
It's all gone. So, and I get a notification. I've got like 5 people that are on VRAP right now. Oh, good
God. And they're going to have to scramble to pay the rest of the rent.
But it's small. So VRAP actually paid a huge portion of their rent. They're only paying like $100.
Okay.
But the people that are on Section 8, you're going to have to pay the portion that VRAP has been paying for up to 18 months past.
Wow.
So
crazy.
And it's a huge chunk of change.
Yeah, it is.
Because Section 8 doesn't pay your full amount of rent. So they could be looking at $400 to $500 that they have to come up with. And I just got the notification today.
Oh, good God.
None of my tenants knew how much they were going to have to pay.
Right.
It was all a surprise because it was like, well, if you make this much, it might be 30 or 70%. And if you're under this guideline, it might be this much. No one knew, so we waited to see how much they were going to pay. Yeah. So people are now, rent is due, Saturday or Sunday?
Tomorrow's the 1st.
The 1st, so it's due tomorrow. So we just got notification today on how much VRAP is paying. So for some, it's terrific. Like $100.
Yeah, so we're very sorry. We think this all sucks. It should have been a step down, but that's not how they did it.
Yeah, I haven't been hearing that they're doing an extension. They might be doing an extension for heat and electricity utility payment, which would be really good, but I haven't heard about an extension on rent.
Yeah, but heat usually, I mean, I know some of the heat grants you don't start till like January. That's a different one.
No, actually, they'll do like a fill up now.
Will they? Okay.
Yeah, they'll do a fill up right now because people are using the heat right now. It's cold.
I know.
It's 30 degrees at night, so it's a little chilly. They have come out to some of my apartments and filled up.
That's good to know. Okay. We should probably move on. We do have a lot of things. Probably at least one of these things is going to wind up moving to the next meeting, next filming. Let's see. A bit about tax sales. You want to talk about that? We have an upcoming one.
We do have an upcoming tax sale. Well, a part of that no date is Ray Masuko was the attorney that was going to be behind helping us with the tax sales.
That's right.
So, and we had about 64 people on a tax list. And so what happens with that is back in April, we send out notifications through the town, April, May, and then people that are on the tax sale list have an opportunity to pay up their balance by the end of June or work out a deal with the town. Agreement with the town manager, it's $100 a month or whatever it is. So I think out of the about 64 people that we had on the tax list, we're down to, would you say 50?
I think it's less than that.
Is it less than that?
Yeah.
I mean, it looked like quite a bit when I saw the spreadsheet.
I know, but there's 3 sections, and 3 of them are people houses who are in probate, so that they're off the list for now until probate's finished. And there are 7 of them which have applied for the VHFA, which is Vermont Housing Finance Association, or something like that, VHFA. Anyway, there has been no word from them. Despite calls to them, VHFA has been very stubborn about not giving us an end date. So there's no way to know how much, if any, of these back taxes will be paid and at what time they will be paid. So in the meantime, it doesn't matter. It puts a cap on them. You can't touch them until it's completed. So by then, we'll probably have the tax sale on the remaining properties. I think there's more like 25 on the rest of the list, and that's it. So it's whittled down quite a bit. But when you start telling people you're going to have a tax sale, people pay up. That winds up leading us to our next thing. But we don't know if it's going to be October or November by the time we get there, the end of October or the end of November, based upon the need for an attorney to complete the transactions. That is the person who handles the tax sales. Is the attorney, and the town just participates, and then the village doesn't technically have a part of it, except we're waiting for taxes too.
Well, I think people that haven't paid by now are either wise to the fact that after the tax sale, you have a year to pay your taxes back.
You do. Yeah. You can
So
redeem them.
it's not like we have a tax sale November 15th and you lose your house November 16th. You have a whole year to work out an arrangement and somehow pay your taxes back. It's a little more stringent. You can't just walk in and say, "Hey, yeah, I kind of want to have a plan and here we go." No, you've got to figure out a more stringent plan to pay it back. So I think a lot of these people know the deal.
Yep.
They're like, well, I got a year from now. I'm not worried about the tax sale. But I'd be hella embarrassed if my property went up for tax sale. I'd be really embarrassed. I mean, there's been days where I've been late. I've been like months late. I've been like walking in at the 11th hour paying my taxes because I got 4 buildings. That's just the way it goes. I would never want to get on that tax list. So you have what happens, and I'm going to this tax sale this time. That would be awesome if we had Fact TV there to see what it's like and how it works.
Yeah,
I'm not quite sure how the process works, but I know that you can bid on a house. Some houses are going for $10,000, but then there's all these other liens on the house that you might not know about.
You have to do your own homework when you know what the list is.
But you go in and ask Kathleen, and she will show you all of the liens. There's a computer, and she'll run you right through it. But there's those liens that you have to pay for. But you also can bid up the property.
You can, more
so
than.
If the property only has a $10,000 tax debt, you can bid it up to $80,000, $90,000, $100,000.
If you plan on propping that that cashier's check on them,
right, and then you make a percentage on that investment.
Right. It earns interest.
It earns interest. So if these people are going to be like, "Oh, I'm going to wait a whole year before I pay it back," all that they have to come up with all that interest.
Right. Well, it's just an interest-bearing account. And the town can't touch it, but it secures the properties paid for if it is not redeemed within a year. Actually, it's a year and a day.
A year and a day.
After that. In the meantime, if the owner wants to redeem the property, they not only have to pay those back taxes, but all to current. There might be additional late fees as well.
Yep.
The same thing goes for the new owner if it's not redeemed, and then anything they have paid goes against what's owed. Plus any current taxes, has to be current. And at that time, either pay the difference if you didn't bid that much. But if you bid $80,000, $90,000 on a $10,000 tax property, that's sort of like a holding account for you and you get interest on it. But they'll take out everything that's owed and then give you reimburse you the remainder. If you don't get to keep the property because it's redeemed, you get the whole thing back plus interest. That's kind of how it works. But you can't step in the property. You can't do anything with the property in the meantime, in that year. You can't touch it.
Yeah, but however, if the taxes were $10,000 and you wrote a check for $20,000, the town goes back to the owner and says, "Listen, I've got a check for $20,000. You owe us $10,000. You're going to get $10,000." The owner might say, "Yep, take it. I'm done with it. I'll take the $10,000. I'll pay you off." So that might happen. There is one place. What is it? Hapgood Extension.
Oh God,
at
that
the end,
property
where the tree
everybody knows this one. It's where the tree caved in the house.
Noel, the tree caved in. It's been like that for
9 years.
9 years.
Maybe 10.
I think if someone bid on that and said, here are the taxes, I think he would take it. So it wouldn't be a year and a day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He would be I'm going to sign off. All my debt is paid. Thank you very much. I'll move it on.
Yeah.
So there's your research right there. There might be an opportunity for some potential to be able to get a decent house. If you think a
I don't know if you're ready to
it.
move on, but isn't that one of the zombie houses?
That one is not a zombie house.
Okay.
So
you want to get into that?
Let's talk about zombie houses.
We have pictures to show too, I believe.
Zombie houses in Bellows Falls, and I think some of the people on Elm Street would appreciate this. Because one of these houses is on Elm Street.
Oh.
So a zombie house is somebody that has a mortgage. This is a zombie house right here. So someone that has a mortgage and either decides they can't pay for the mortgage anymore and they move out and just give it over to the bank, or someone that dies and their kids don't want the property and aren't going to pay the taxes on it or the mortgage on it, the bank gets left with it. And zombie is a dead thing. It's got a face that's peeling off and its limbs are falling off and it's dying, it's decaying. So what happens is these banks take on these properties, okay, you didn't pay your mortgage, so the bank takes it back, but the bank is in Sacramento, California. What do they know about Vermont? They don't care, right? They don't care about the town. They don't care about the village. All they want to do is take that debt and find somebody else, some other investment company to pay for it. In the meantime, we're talking months or years.
Yeah.
Where it never gets transferred, and then the banks or the lending institutions sell off. So now it's a new name, a new company. Right. It's LendingTree, it's Rocket Mortgage, it's XYZ Mortgage.
Yeah.
And it just, you never find out who really owns, what bank owns these properties. This is 5 Elm Street. I'm just going to tell you right now. It's Robert DeRoche's house. He died a few years ago, and if you remember, 2 drug addicts died in this house.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, oh, yeah. I always save something special for you.
You do.
I do.
I love that.
We had 2 tenants that were living in this house with Bob. Beautiful apartment downstairs. He really did it. They were living upstairs. Bob died. And the tenants, who were drug dealers and drug users, just stayed in the house. They didn't care. The kids didn't want the house.
Yeah.
So the bank didn't know. They were literally filling up the oil tank with kerosene,
yeah.
And they were doing the drugs. Well, the fire department figured out something was wrong. They went into the downstairs, and there were 2 guys dead from overdose. They had to bring them up, and they boarded up the house. But the bank had owned the house at that time.
Yeah.
They didn't send anyone by. They didn't call anyone in the town. They didn't care. So what happens right now is, they don't care about the water leaking into the basement. They don't care about I know this kind of looks pretty, but it's not. It's really, this has been this way all summer long. Yeah. I think there's another picture. The garage on the left is rotting. The water's getting into the basement. The back door, I think, may have been open. The police had to go by and lock it up.
Yeah. Is that it?
That's a different one.
House.
That's a different one.
Okay.
But that's what I mean. There we go. It has a ramp.
Looks like it's right up against another house too, like, spitting distance.
So the people out back are like, can someone come and mow the lawn?
Yeah.
There's feral cats that are living there now. I stopped by, so there's cats all over the place. I'm surprised nobody's not broken in and is squatting there. And the people out back are like, can you please just mow the lawn? The town's like, sorry, ma'am, we're not going to do it.
Okay, now the village, that doesn't make sense to me, and I'm going to be pointing this out to somebody. Immediately after the show. Mm-hmm. The village has a grass ordinance. If it's over 12 inches, and you can clearly see it is, majority of it is, they're supposed to be notified, and then they're supposed to take care of it. If they don't, then they put then they use the whatever it costs to get it mowed, and they may use prison labor, or because they can't do that. That's an option. I guess it's an industry for that. Or somebody from the town highway can come along, and whatever the cost is, then they put that as a lien against the property. It's a small lien, but it's a lien.
This woman out back and to the side has been complaining to the town for months and months and months. This is like,
it becomes a health issue when you've got feral cats, you've got other things that might be problematic for the rest of the neighborhood in there.
And
rats and things like that.
That is the whole idea behind a zombie house. Yeah. It's not that, so it brings the property down.
Yeah.
It brings the property down the neighborhood.
Yeah.
It also causes vermin, disease, and invites crime.
Crime. Yeah, exactly. You've got that broken window syndrome going on here.
Yep.
Those windows are open.
Yeah. And the state of New York identified this. The state of New York actually enacted a law that it told banks, if you
can't do that.
If you take the property back, you got to sell it.
If we don't have,
you got to maintain
doesn't have that.
Vermont doesn't have that.
The other thing people need to know about zombie houses is these houses never turn up in the tax rolls for tax sale, and the reason why they don't is because not tax rolls. They're on the tax rolls, and but they never turn them up for tax sale because the mortgage companies pay for that.
Right.
So they pay it, so it doesn't turn up on the list. It never gets sold. It never moves. It caves in on itself.
Right.
That's what we're looking at.
Right.
Here.
And what the banks do, it's a whole racket. So they'll take on this house and they'll put it in a basket of other properties.
Yes, junk bonds.
And they'll
and they'll
just
sell it to another mortgage company.
Sell it down to the lowest company that owes them money.
Yeah,
they'll make another company who owes them money buy these things, and this house is like it's like in an auction that table that never finds a home.
They frost it with some good bond material,
some
and
good
then
stuff.
Underneath is all this crap. And here we are with we have several of them in the community. Maybe
this is a beautiful home.
I know it is. It really needs a $30,000 or more paint job.
Easy.
And I don't know what it looks like on the inside.
It's gorgeous.
Yep.
I've been in it. I've been in the inside. It's absolutely. Robert did a really fine job on the inside. I got a little creeped out knowing that 2 guys died in there.
Yeah, that is creepy. There's a few things we can do to do that. So.
Yeah. But we need to tackle this.
Yeah.
So
and maybe
we need
should
to
look
take
at
it
some
back.
of the other. These are a few of the zombie homes we have in Bellas Falls. Actually, they're not even Rockingham. They're just specifically Bellas Falls. So if you could roll through the rest of the pictures, please. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a big one. Where's that one?
That's Hyde Street. This is actually 28 Hyde Street, and the bank. So the bank just evicted this person. And the bank now has it. So we're going to see how long it takes the bank to turn this property around. So, I mean, this is probably a good picture.
This is at the end of the street, right?
This is like the street goes that way.
Yeah.
And when you pull in, it's the first house on the right.
Okay.
It could be a duplex. The way it's set up, it goes way back. You could put 2 families in there. It's a beautiful location. It looks like it has a nice high basement.
Yep.
But this is just somebody that the bank, I don't know how long it took them to get these people out.
Yep.
But this is just now going to decay. We're going to see, this is a new one.
This junk that should have been cleaned up and and again, just like Bob's house, will cause a problem as it's up against the woods. You've got other vermin and things like that will be infesting it before winter strikes.
And I mean, that's a good ladder. There's coolers. There's good stuff there.
Yeah, the stairs
is still there.
Pretty good.
It's all good right now. This is what I mean about we need to get in and take care of it immediately. That's why the bank should button it up. And I really hope that the neighbors on Hyde Street speak out and say, I want this cleaned up. Call the bank, figure it out. The problem is, like I said, you can't just go and look at the deed, and find out what bank owns it because they trade hands.
So many times.
They don't want you to buy it.
Yeah,
they
what we have in the land records is
right.
just one thing. So then you have to call them, and then they they might be able to research and give you another number.
Right.
But it could be a lot of digging.
It's a lot of digging.
Can we see another picture, please?
I think
that's a pretty good picture. Pretty good house.
Yeah.
Is this part of that house or another place?
Is there another one after this? Okay.
So that's all we got left.
All right, sorry.
Because lost photos.
This one is up on Pond Road. And this is a woman who just decided, I'm going to move on. I can't make it here anymore. And there are 2 mortgage companies on this, like USDA,
first and a second.
USDA, and like Vermont Mortgage Company.
Okay.
And what they have done, this is all locked up. You've got plastic on the window, and they have actually put a notice that says, on this one, if you see any vandalism, call this mortgage company.
Okay.
So this is a really good example of if you want to buy this house, it's on Pond Road.
There's the number.
There's the phone number. Call the mortgage company and say, what are you doing with this building? I wanna own it. I think we should, at least in Bellas Falls, tell mortgage companies, you have to post your phone number.
Every one of you.
We need to know who owns these buildings.
Who to contact when there's a problem.
When there's a problem, or when it's in decay, or when neighbors have a concern.
What if somebody breaks in and you wind up having people living in it? Winter's coming. You've got homeless people that need a place to go.
Yeah.
Will they wind up, living there and taking advantage of, even if the plumbing, if the water and sewers shut off, or the heat shut off, and they have no electricity, they still may live in it. And without numbers, there's no way to tell the owners, the actual owners of the building, that they've got problems and need to come and take care of it.
You have to go to the town. And you have to know how to go to the town, go into the clerk's office, get to the computer, tell her what you want. I couldn't find the information on this. Kathleen had to go into some other program and find it for me.
Jeez.
So
it's not obvious. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And they do have a lock system, so they
Yeah.
put one of those on there, so you can't just get in the.
But
without it.
this is this is just 3 zombie houses, so this just brings the neighborhoods down.
Yep, and you had a few more, but
So
we didn't get all the pictures transferred. So that's okay.
I next show I could bring up tax sale houses if we need to, but you know, these are neighborhoods that people are asking the town, please clean up the yard, please clean up the area. I don't want people to know this is a vacant house.
Well, and when you let it go to ruin like that, just on the outside, you're showing them that it is a vacant property right off the bat. Don't you need to see a broken window or the lights never coming on or any of that stuff? Just seeing trash on the ground, the grass over 12 inches high, you've obviously shown people that it's empty.
So this one is on Pond Road.
Yeah.
This is when you first go up Pond Road.
Yeah.
Beautiful little location. And you know, we have people that don't have houses. We have people that don't have apartments. We have millennials that are like, I need to come up with some money. I want to buy my own home, but I can't afford, competing against a cash buyer. We've got all of these. The bank should be like, hey, you know what? We'll help you out. Let's do something here.
But they don't have to if they just gonna hold it and keep swapping
it's all in a package.
Yeah.
So all these 3 buildings are in a package of probably 1,000 other houses, and they don't care about Bells Falls.
And they sell them to somebody else. I mean, we're talking shadows of 2008.
They go from lending institution to investment institution, and no one ever gets it.
Nobody unwraps the product. Yeah,
and
so
then
you
they
can see
decay.
what's in there. It's like, oh, and there's all these problems. Maybe we should do something to reduce. I mean, we don't know what the mortgage is on these unless you talk to them, unless you can actually find the right person.
I think someone in town needs to call these mortgage companies and say, we're not going to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Like, maintain it.
We could do,
sell it.
They could put them up for auction.
Give them to us.
Or give them to us or something like that in order to make them for someone to turn them into a vital piece of property. Well, we only have about 10 minutes or so left. I'm not sure if we can get into the next topic and move very far with it. And that is introducing a brand new non-PC housing work product that we've just started. And I'll tell you what it is. We don't have a picture of it for this, but I guess as long as you're good with that. The title is Bellows Falls Community Rehabilitation Project. It's a business plan that we're going to be developing in order to partner with a grant writer or whatever we need to do in order to come up with $10 million?
I'd like 20.
Okay.
I think $20 million
through the USDA
would be better.
For housing projects only, specifically for nothing else. And we would partner with those in the municipality that we need to in order to get things covered, like the zoning administrator, to use the Bellows Falls rental housing. Oh, yeah, and this would be essentially just for Bellows Falls because we have the most concentrated population in Rockingham. Bellows Falls rental housing inspection ordinance, which we haven't been able to enact. But there's lots of good value in there because you get a more comprehensive understanding of what's wrong with the property, if there are any fire code issues, electrical, painting, structural, all that stuff is available. But starting with that and then go from there. You had a structural engineer or whatever has to come review it. This is all smooth forward. And also to move to speaking with local area contractors, construction contractors, and even local material suppliers, which aren't necessarily specifically here, but let's say just across the river in Walpole, just local area, in order to leverage them into giving us lower prices for groups of this project, putting them together, buying the same materials for all of the projects, being able to get less expensive prices, and benefiting our local area contractors and our local area material providers because they would be specifically signed on for these particular projects, and it would be a win-win for everybody. The properties get improved, the contractors make money, the material providers make money, the homeowners will be happy because their homes will be rehabilitated and making them more than they had been in a long time because they can't afford it. It is a grant. So there's a possibility of never having to repay it because it improves our entire neighborhood. If you improve one house, your whole street's improved.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you had some other things on that.
You offset the zombie effect. So how this hatched was everyone is probably now familiar with the fact that Wyndham Windsor Housing Trust has taken over the garage. They're putting in 28 units. And then the development team in Bellows Falls is thinking about 150 units on the island, a brand new building, mixed use, 150 single occupancy to two-person occupancy, 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom, with businesses down below. And Deb and I were saying, my feeling is, and Deb agreed with me, is we're going to build 150, 60, 178 units, brand new. Well, what about taking care of the units that we have?
Our stock.
What about taking care of our stock before we invest millions of dollars? I'm all for the millions of dollars of developing the island, but I want to take care of the taxpayers that are going to vote yes on building new apartments and new buildings. I think we need help with our roofs in Bellows Falls, our foundations. We have our painting. I think we have a lot of leaks going on right now with the skirting around the houses. We've got a lot of water in the basement. We've got slate roofs that need repair. We've got asphalt roofs that need to come off, and we need to put 30-year roofs on there. We have knob and tube in a lot of these old houses, and we have people that can't afford the expense of contractors. Plumbers have gone from $35 an hour to $85, $95 an hour. Yep. Electricians are at $120. Yeah. Carpenters are at $75 an hour. You know, our housing stock is going to be in zombie land, but yet we're going to have 150 new units on the island. That's what we're doing. We're moving to the island, and the rest of the community is going to end up.
Last person inside the village and not on the island, please turn out the last light.
Right.
That's what you're looking at.
Yeah.
You're evacuating. Yeah.
Right. So we just want this beautiful space, and then everything is going to be shit around us. Yeah. No. What I want to do is find $20 million from the government. That's a grant, and I want to find out how many people need new roofs, how many people need their basements, watertight, how many people need paint jobs, how many people
look at Hyde Hill.
Look at Hyde Hill.
Hyde Street. That's the problem right there.
It's the most beautiful view in the town, and that building could have been renovated and brought up to speed.
And it's not the only one.
It's not the only one. There's
that one just
so
happens
many
to be
issues.
a zombie house.
But that is the reason why we're looking to take care of everything that is going to encompass this island development. Yep. I think you've got to have a good
balance.
In between, a balance that says, okay, we'll do the island, but we want our periphery in Bellows Falls, our housing stock.
Well, one of the things I wanted to say is, like, when you're looking at the area-wide plan, which is what we're talking about, because that's where it's in, you're looking at speculative housing. And when you're looking at the community where the houses are already built but need to be repaired, you're looking at operative housing. It's a totally different thing. This is where things are already there, need to be fixed. That is totally from the ground up. So it's speculative. And I want to tell you what Andrew Carnegie said about speculation. I mean, he really hated that as a way to make money, say that you're going to hang all this stuff on this hook, You got your wishes in one hand. You got shit in the other. Which you gonna get? Which
you got shit in the other. Say it out loud.
Which is gonna fill first. Your hand's gonna fill with shit first before it's gonna fill with all these wishes and money that you want. Yeah. So that's where we are. We need to find a balance of that because we have people living in these houses. A lot of these houses that are in very good need of repair. And we're not just talking about apartments. We're talking about owner-occupied homes, which includes single dwellings as well as multi-dwellings. I mean, that whole concept was part of the town plan for many years, which was to get owner-occupied housing and more of it in our community because people who live here take care of it. Oh, and that's another thing about this project. No out-of-state owners. That's out. Because we're talking about benefiting our community.
But what if they're out-of-state owners that live in the property?
If they live in the property, then they're not out-of-state, right? They're local.
Yep.
That's what we're talking about. Local people with local money and front-loading this project with carpenters, any kind of contractor that's needed, so that they're ready to go because they're going to make $100,000 or more dollars in just getting these projects worked on, and so and a timeline in which to do them with prioritization, manpower to be hired. It's a win-win.
Yeah.
So I think this is the beginning of it. We do have to do a business plan for this, and then start looking for a grant writer to get us there.
Yep.
So, but it's the first big project we come up with here, and I think it's really a viable project that its time has come. Is what
I think it's a solution. I think it's a solution to our housing crisis.
Mm.
And in renovating these buildings, we're going to find people that might say, you know what, I'll renovate it for me and I'll sell it to, my nephew or whatever. It's going to be an owner-occupied type of thing. So that's what I want to see in Bellows Falls is more owner-occupied people, but they need a head start. They're buying dilapidated buildings right now.
I know that they're screwed from the get-go.
They are. And I picked up 4 of them, and it's been really hard work. But I did it.
She's got the bruises to show
I know.
To prove it.
I know. But I did it in a time where the plumber and carpenter and contractor fees weren't as high as they are now, and the supply fees. So we need to get our town on the map, and I think we can find $20 million to invest in the community. When it's $50,000 a roof, we know how many buildings we have. Mm-hmm. Just multiply it out.
Yep.
Yep, exactly. So,
and make sure that we put lots of money into marketing.
Yes.
This sort of thing. Because one of the things I've seen about any money that's been available through all the agencies is they don't market it very well. They don't get the full number of people who actually need their help. Mm-hmm. That includes from the town all the way to all the agencies that you've worked with.
Right.
That they're not getting it out there, the news out there, so the money gets spent appropriately and spread appropriately, so that it's being utilized. And they'll say, "Oh, I'm sorry, we're running out of time, but we still got money left, but we can't give it to you."
Right.
This is where it's going.
But the other thing, what we don't want, what I wouldn't want, is people to feel like, "Oh my God, I'm in bed with the government now."
No, exactly.
That's not.
Why this is a grant, not a loan.
It's a grant, and we just want to beautify the town. We want to bring everything up to code. We want warm, healthy, happy, safe homes.
Yep.
And
everybody benefits.
We
from
want
that.
to put people to work, and we want to make people feel like they're happy and comfortable in this town and safe in their buildings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that'll come back to our next, definitely a topic that still needs to be worked on. And we have a month and see how far we can get.
Yep.
We did not bring the wheel back in. Still, that continues to be a thing to lug. Mm-hmm. And whether we really wanted to go there, that sounded like a good idea, but maybe not giving random fate the opportunity to tell us what we're doing next. And we really want to do it ourselves, because we are moving in the direction of productivity and getting ideas that will help the entire community, and hopefully people listening to this will come on board, because we're not taking it over, but to come on board to help us move this forward.
Right. And we're talking about a Facebook page.
We definitely got to do it. We keep talking about it every month.
So we can run our mouth on Facebook.
And you can comment wherever you want. Before our shows,
share.
Give us some insight, your own insight from your life experiences, and some great ideas, things like that. I think that's important. We're trying to make this a community effort. And so the things we're putting out there are things that many people are afraid to say. We're not. But so we'll say them for you. You just need to let us know what those things are. Different stuff happens all the time. We didn't even talk about the fact that there are a lot of apartments in town, over in the village, over 1,000 now. Especially when it was a housing trust new project, there are also illegal apartments in our community.
Really?
Yep, I know, but at least a couple of them.
Like what's
one
illegal?
of them was I don't know if I want to say his name.
No, don't say
right
his name.
off of Atkinson Street. A prominent merchant, business owner, had, maybe he doesn't any longer, but did for years have an illegal apartment on his 3rd floor. Had no hot water, still using it as an apartment. And that's probably not the only one. I mean, I don't want to talk about Airbnbs. That's something I'm not really sure. I think we should be, that the state should be taxing. When people are trying to make a living off their homes, in order to, to make their income, make their nut, whatever they have to do. But the truth is, there are some illegal places. People living in things on people's property. There are people who are living in basements. There are people who are living,
Yeah, because they need a place. It's either that or they're homeless, probably.
Yeah, I know.
They're like, hey, I'll just shack up in your basement. It's dry. I don't care.
You want to put somebody in a substandard housing with no heat? The maybe not enough, not enough hot water. They can't take a bath.
Yeah, but is it one of those things, hey, I got this space for you. Come on in for 3 months, just shack there.
No, it was monthly rent, month to month.
What's really crazy to me is we have all this commercial space downtown.
I know.
And you can buy a building downtown and open a hair salon, but you can't sleep out back. That's nuts.
You can't sleep upstairs.
And it's sprinklered.
Yeah.
It's probably the safest building in town. So a business owner can't come in and say, I'm going to have a craft and I'm going to own this space out front and then just have a studio out back. That
maybe that's just part of the zoning bylaw.
We need to change. We need to change that, because I've had, when my friend Chandra had her space at a studio upstairs in one of the buildings, she's like, I could totally live here. I could just live in that back room, and then when all my clients left, I could hang out.
It doesn't make any sense because you can go on, because on the island specifically, I don't know about other areas of Rockingham, but on the island, you could, all those buildings up there, that substandard commercial properties, they had, what do they call them? I don't know, property keepers. They would have apartments for someone who slept in the building to keep it safe at night. So what's the difference between that and having a hair salon and sleeping in the back of it? What? I don't get the difference.
Right.
Why is that one okay and the other's not?
Yeah, because you're asleep and something
might
happen.
Is it zoning? Is it, because it could be zoning, because that's commercial, that's light commercial or whatever.
It is. But I do know people have rented commercial space and never used it and just put a sheet on the front window and lived in it.
Great. I heard that some of that might be happening on Canal Street.
Oh.
There's Robert McBride owns that property down there on the right-hand side. He owns that artist basically block.
Yeah.
That there are some people like that.
Oh, he owns that?
Yeah, that's my understanding. It's Robert McBride's property.
But Stewart manages it.
I guess. Well, then he hired a manager because he doesn't manage it.
Oh.
But I heard that there was it's supposed to be for artists only.
Yeah.
Which I suppose if it's your property, you can do what you like with it.
It is not, because I housed people from Pathways.
Did you? Okay.
In there.
Well, that's good to know.
They weren't artists at all.
Okay.
Like 2 of them. So that's what I mean. There's not a lot of artists that are like, oh, yeah, I'm going to come to Bells Falls and live in the space and do my art. That fell through. So now we got this big, beautiful building, and
it's
who
a
are you
gorgeous
letting
building.
in?
Nice that it got redone. I'm not sure where we are on time because we started late, so maybe a few more minutes.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about, someone commented from the tri-board meeting that they thought Sevka was going to be managing the homeless people living.
Like 6 apartments or something
6 apartments living at the garage. I'm going to call it the garage space.
BF Garage, yeah.
So I just want to, I want to clear up with people. It's not, Sevka's not managing the leases. They're going to manage the people and help them, like their quality of life stuff and their obligations to collecting money and paying for rent and their banking and their hygiene
the resources
and their
need,
resources. So Stewart Property Management is still going to manage all of the leases. So if you're not like cutting the mustard with Stewart Property Management, they'll get evicted. If there's a criteria that you need to have in order to move into a Stewart Property Management managed building, that's still going to hold true. So I'm going to meet with Stewart Property Management and find out what their criteria is.
Right, because that should be across the board, every property they manage.
Yeah, if they're like, we're not allowing, people with a criminal background in, we're not going to allow people that are drug dealers or have a history of, drug abuse or whatever else. I know when I worked with them, they would not move in people with a criminal background.
Okay.
So, I'm anxious. I was going to try and meet with them this week. I couldn't get a meeting, but I'm anxious to see what their criteria is for people that are going to go into that building. That's 28 units, 27 units, whatever. That's a lot of units. Yeah. And it could be, families of 2 to 4.
Yeah.
Right? Yep. So, it could be a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any singles in that mix. I don't know. But, So there's that. I mean, I have the problem with criminal background doesn't really cover everything. You know what I mean? It doesn't cover mental illness. It doesn't cover people who are drug addicted, but they haven't gotten charged with anything yet.
Right.
People have to remember that when they want to say, But I have had people come to me and say, Stewart Properties lets drug addicts into their buildings. It's a possibility they weren't aware of it based upon everything that was presented to them at the time. Making sure that you contact them if you are living in those buildings and you have those issues, you do need to call them and let them be aware of changes, because everybody has changes. And some of those might be detrimental to the rest of the people in the building.
Well, the other thing I do, and I see that there are 2 people watching. Thank you very much. If you have comments, send them away, and we'll answer. What I do is, someone can give me an application if they're a local. I ask certain people in the
about them.
area about them.
Of course you should. I do
And
that
then
with
I hear,
employees,
no,
applicants too.
that person's going to have a party at that house every Friday and Saturday night. That, they've got a they're like the hot dog lady. You know what I mean? They're like bringing people in and out, and they're dealing drugs. They haven't been convicted, but they're doing this.
But that's
is what they're doing
until they get convicted.
Yeah, right. So,
It's thinking of one person that's living in property. I don't know if that person's left yet, but who has extra baggage. That baggage is 2 other people that come with her when she moves into a place.
Right.
So you're renting to one person, who might be getting all the social services, but then you wind up with the extra human baggage.
I'm going to say this. I had a woman come to my house who was being supported by a local human service agency. They're not even in the business to be dealing with housing. Mm-hmm. That's not who they are. They're Soup Kitchen.
And I know who that is, yeah.
They're Soup Kitchen, and they have a client, and they brought her. And I know personally that this particular person harbored criminals in her last apartment.
But maybe they didn't know that?
Oh, they knew that.
They did.
They knew that. They knew that. And so, and the deal was, when I said, this person is allowing criminals to live with her. Yep. These are guys that were ripping off catalytic converters.
Oh, I know who they are. Okay.
And, and I'm like, I can't, allow this person's, she doesn't do it anymore. Well, after they said that, I saw the same convicted criminal go into her apartment.
Yeah, see, there you go. Baggage.
So they don't know that, so these human service agencies only know what they're being told. They're like, we didn't think she was doing it anymore. Yeah. No, this person is still harboring. She's 80 years old, and she's still believing these guys that are raking her over the coals.
And using her for her ability to have a place to live.
She's using them.
Other services.
She's getting used. And I'm just like, I can't rent to somebody that doesn't really understand that she's being used, and she's going to bring people in that are convicted people.
Because because it's like someone sneaking in and say, I don't have any pets.
Yeah.
And the landlord doesn't want any pets, and then they move in and there's a couple of boxes. There are cats in a box, by the way. I'm just saying that's clearly a possibility. So you're sneaking in a couple of guys that don't show up.
I don't have any pets, but yet you reek of cat pee. Okay.
What
Wait
that
a minute.
is?
Yeah.
Okay, that means that's a signal that we're out of time, folks. Wow, and it's loud. I'm deaf. So right. we will I will definitely work on the Facebook page this week, this month, and get this up so people can further comment, and we'll share the video as when it gets posted, because now we're live. And we will continue to work further on these. And you've heard a lot of information tonight. I didn't think we were going to get through all of it. I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to comment on it. Please be sure to email us at nonpchousing@gmail.com and look for our Facebook page, which we'll get up there soon.
I think also we're talking about, I think we should get a guest. I think we should think about bringing in a guest and grilling them. Yeah. So if anyone wants a guest grilled, let us know who you want at the table, and we will grill them. We are future meetings. We are going to bring up mental illness and housing, which is going to be a very, very sensitive topic.
Not next month, but
it's going to be very, very sensitive, and I think it's paramount in Bellows Falls, and I do think we need some guests, and I think we need to have an open, sincere dialogue with no judgment, because we've got a lot of issues in Bellows Falls. Yeah. I truly believe that human service agencies are treating people with mental illness like a hot potato and dumping them into a private landlord situation and walking away.
Yeah, I
Yep.
talked about
And dealing-
going
and walking
fishing,
away.
hooking them,
Hooking 'em.
dropping them off with you, and then releasing them back into the water. That's what's
and
happening.
then there, it's a setup to fail.
Yep.
It's a no win-win
Yeah, for everybody.
situation.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. So I think
So-
we probably have to say goodnight. We thank you very much for listening in, and we are very proud to keep presenting this material to you. Make sure you channel us more, and if you know someone who wants to get grilled, remember they got to have a tough skin,
Yeah.
because we will do our homework and we will be asking a bunch of hard questions. So that's it. I wanna-
Cheers.
Cheers to everybody in the
Cheers
community,
to everyone, and cheers to Ray
and cheers to Ray.
Masuko.
Thank you. Good night.